Wolfpack wrestling fans, it's NC State, North Carolina week. Wolfpack-Tar Heels Friday night, Reynolds Coliseum, Rivalry week. We're excited. We're going to talk about that and a lot more. A brand new episode, the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast, episode 118, I believe, Pat. That's what you told me earlier. So I'm your host, Brian Reinhardt, with the head coach of the Wolfpack, Pat Popolizio.
Always good to see you, Brian. Looking good as always.
Thanks, Pat. Pat, it's been a while. You haven't been on your own podcast for a few weeks.
Well, yeah, you bumped me off last week and didn't even get me on there.
You know, it's funny. I bumped you for Jackson Arrington a couple weeks ago, and I was going to bump you last week too for something else, but I just unfortunately the real world kind of comes calling sometimes. But glad you can join us. I thought you were on this, red shirt freshman rule where you can only be on 5 episodes a year. So glad to have you back.
I got my red shirt pulled a long time ago. We're good.
Okay. We haven't seen you for a while. We saw a nice little haircut you debuted up.
The guy fitted me up pretty good last week.
Yep. So I said it looked good. You took the sides up a little bit.
Yep.
A little bit of style.
Look like you out there.
I don't know. You can't see my hair anymore.
That's all good.
But like I said, rivalry week coming up. But since you haven't been on for a little while, we got to touch back on some of the previous events. Actually, going back January 5th, Oklahoma State came to Reynolds Coliseum. First ever sellout. Now, we've had some great crowds inside Reynolds, but marketing said this was officially a sellout. So over 5,000 fans. What you guys think of the environment?
It was great, and I think that's one thing that was the ultimate goal going into that duel was to have a crowd like that, continue to promote the product that these guys have been building, and within the administration and the coaching staff and the guys on the team, that was a big success to have that type of atmosphere in that crowd and just keep momentum going into the stretch, whatever we get now, 4 home duels in a row, basically. So that was a nice teaser early January and carry that momentum in.
Yeah, every Friday night in February, the Wolfpack is at home. If you don't have plans, make those plans, Reynolds Coliseum. But as coaches, I know the guys have said they really love when it's a big crowd. They get into it. The crowd pumps them up. What about a coaching staff? Do you notice the crowd at all?
When things are going good, there's good positive energy in there. It's a rowdy place. It's loud in there. It's one of the best venues in the country to compete in, and we're thankful that it's our home gym. And you can definitely feel that energy. And that's one thing we know we got to do and work at is make sure we get momentum going in those duels and carry that in.
When are we bringing back the stage?
We need to do that again.
I know. I like that.
I think it's a process to get that set up. So sometimes timing, and I think that Oklahoma State match it wasn't last minute, but it was not, usually you got 6-7 months to plan. That one kind of was about a month, 6 weeks out. So I was just glad we were able to get in there on a Friday night and get that crowd.
Yeah. A little bit of money too to rent that stage. We don't own it, or NC State. I say we all the time. I don't even work there anymore. So
still, you got enough time in here. You might as well take your
enough time. I tell you, all my free time. I don't even get paid for this. I don't know if you know that. So
check my Rockfin account.
Yeah, hey Rockfin, you can always watch us over there. But Oklahoma State. Then you guys went up to Hofstra on Sunday. Has another successful duel, but then you guys had 3 weeks off, and that was kind of rare in January to have that much time off. I know some of that fell into the schedule because you guys were supposed to be coming back from Italy.
Yeah.
But was 3 weeks off kind of ideal at that time, or what do you think looking back now?
Yeah, and it goes back to the way we compete. We knew we were coming off break. We wrestled a ton in November, a lot of good competition in December, then that Oklahoma State duel, and we strategically planned it out to have 3 really good weeks of training in because we know going into ACC, we wanted to make that next level of intensity, and I think it showed a little bit in our last duel that we were in, a little more ready to compete, in a little better shape, and a little more aggressive, and that's something we worked really hard at from that Oklahoma State duel, and guys responded well.
Saw some pictures on social media. Your guys are also still in the weight room and all that. What's the balance like between practice, duels, lifting, cardio? There's a lot going on right now.
Yeah, and that's the key is to be consistent and now that we're synced back into Friday night competitions, we're back on a really good training schedule. We were all over the place in the first semester. It was maybe a Friday competition, maybe a Saturday, maybe we were traveling, maybe we had 2 duels in 1 week. So there was nothing really consistent, and now we've been able to implement that. Those 3 weeks were a lot like that. And again, I think the guys responded extremely well with the training that we threw at them. Our intensity for the last several weeks was a lot higher, focus, and I think we saw the benefits of that in the pit duel. And it's hard, and that's the one thing people don't understand when you get into college wrestling. It's hard to be at your A game for as long as this season is, and we know that. And sometimes you're going to have some lesser, I don't know, wrestling at your best, and there might be some highs and lows through the season. And I think the way our schedule is this year, if you have a bad competition, we got some really good ones, whether it's an individual or a dual meet, to get ready for.
One thing I want to ask you too, it's a new rule change, 2-hour weigh-ins. Now, you were notorious for getting the team there way too early when we were on the road for duels. I mean, it was just
either too early or too prepared.
I tell you what, I mean, we got there before doors opened sometimes back in the day. I don't know if you remember that. Had to knock and try to find someone to let you in. But so your guys were weighing in for 2 hours before. Last year, they weighed in 1 hour before. So it was just you guys worked out, weighed in, recovery for an hour. What are you guys doing now in that 2 hours between weigh-ins and actually when the match starts?
It's probably the 2 hardest hours that we have to go through as coaches. Guys love it. But for coaches, it's like it's a long 2 hours. Let's just say that. And that's what people don't understand. We start a duel at 7, weigh-ins are at 5. We're leaving the hotel at 3. We got to be there early, ready to go in case someone's a little bit over. You don't want to stress before weigh-ins, right, Brian? But yeah, we're there 3 o'clock, and the dual meet doesn't start till 7. Like this Friday, UNC duels 8:30. Weigh-ins are at 6:30. That's it makes for a long night, and it is healthier for the guys. They have more recovery time. I just think we should even go longer at this point so we can leave, go eat, and do something. But it's a long 2 hours. Luckily, this Friday there's some duels on starting at 6:30, so we'll at least be able to buy some time there.
I know you're a big video game fan. Do you let the guys bring the video game and crank it up there?
Oh yeah, we play all types of video games.
I was just wondering.
Anytime someone's playing a video game, I'm asking them what match they're wrestling. So.
That goes back many years. I remember, bless the Bullards' heart, man. You used to kill them with that question. So the Bullards were not film study guys, but they got some results on the mat. Yeah, 2 hours. I was just wondering. I mean, especially what happens if you guys don't have a locker room? You just hang out in the hallway?
That's what we do. Hang out. It's a good time to catch up and talk.
That's true. All right. Hold on. Let me get my little banner going here. Oh, check that out. Friday night, NC State, UNC, 8:30 Reynolds Coliseum. Now, Pat, a little bit of a different time. Usually duels on Friday nights are 7 o'clock, but 8:30 ACC Network. How did the 8:30 time slot come about?
Yeah, first time, being on the main network and women's gymnastics kicking off with the ACC. They have a slot. I don't know if it's a 7 o'clock or 6:30 start time for them, but they wanted to make sure they kept wrestling on the main network on Friday nights, but also balance the two. So we got pushed back an hour and a half, which is, you go back and look, the NCAA finals and stuff like that. It's going to be late times there too. So our guys got to be ready for it. And that last match probably going to kick off around 10:30 at night. So the positive to that is people come to the duel can go get a dinner beforehand, and you'll even have time to get the dessert in, Brian.
I was going to say, you going to provide some hot chocolate or something for some?
We are doing. We do have a little pre-match social for people who have been supporting the program financially. So that'll be up top. And maybe if you stop by, we'll let you in.
Well, I was going to say, what about the people that support the program with all their free time and their
your time is money. We know that. Respect that. So trust me, I'll let you in.
Little Beauty and the Beast double header on the ACC Network Friday night.
Yes.
I was pretty vocal. I did not care for that event when you guys hosted it that one year. It was a little too loud for me. I like to be in my bubble, a little quiet, but gymnastics is a different crowd.
It's good. They do a good job. They get a good fan base, good support.
They get a lot of support now, but
Yeah.
I expect a full crowd for Reynolds Coliseum for NC State wrestling this Friday night. UNC, Pat, as you know, I mean, it's a rivalry. I mean, you don't need to say anything else. It's Wolfpack, Tar Heels. I don't think it matters what sport. I think athletes at NC State, athletes at UNC, they appreciate the rivalry and know that this is a big duel coming up on Friday.
Yeah, and it's one that I know every year both teams look forward to competing in, and our guys are excited and ready and being at home. And, you know, the crowds that we've been getting want to carry that momentum and make it nice and rowdy in there and have an awesome atmosphere Friday night. So it should be a good one for sure.
A little different to the rivalry this year. UNC new head coach Rob Cole came over from Stanford. UNC alum, he won the national title there, so you know he's excited to be back at his alma mater. But you have a little bit of history with him. You were at Binghamton, he was at Cornell, so you guys have faced each other, and you know the struggles of year one sometimes. But I think, you know, positive change for UNC. How do you as a coach in the conference, how do you see it when a new coach comes into your conference?
Yeah, I mean, new or not, he's been in the game for a long time. He's had a lot of success as coach, and it's only elevating the conference. I think we have some of the best coaches in the ACC. You know, you look across, I know it's a small conference, but all those guys have a great resume, and it's just going to add to it. It's going to make, you know, and over the years, they've had some really good teams. You know, you can go back just a couple of years ago. I think we had it here when it came down to the wire with Deontay Wilson. They were ranked 4th. We were ranked 5th. And that was one of the greatest atmosphere dual meets that we've been a part of in a long time. And so, yeah, I think you're going to get good energy and positive over the years. You know, I think both programs have consistently grown, and our fan bases have been rock solid here at NC State. And I think that's always going to be the case. And, well, I'll just say we have the loyalist fans in the country that are going to always remain diehard Wolfpack fans. So we look forward to seeing them on Friday, and it should be a really fun duel for Wolfpack wrestling.
Contrasting colors between these two schools is great. Friend of the program, Joe Giglio, would appreciate all red versus all blue singlets. What color singlet you going with yet? You know,
we always wear red when we wrestle UNC. So yeah, we'll have nice Wolfpack red.
Yep. That's always got to see all that Wolfpack red in there, sprinkling a little bit of Carolina blue. Great environment. You know, I think we got to talk about some of these matchups. You know, let's get wild. Let's kick it off down at the lower weights, 125. You know, a lot of fans are asking you, what are you going to do? You know, Jacob Camacho went to the App State Open last week, 3-0, had a couple really good wins, and they beat his teammate Troy Home in the final. But Jarrett Trombley went up to Pitt with you guys. Major decision over their Camacho. You have 2 ACC champions at this weight right now. Carolina, Spencer Moore, very good wrestler, young. He's ranked 2. So no matter who you throw out there, 125, I know you just want to see who steps up on your team right now.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing right now. We know we have 2 really good options at 125. Camacho, obviously, getting back in rhythm with some things, and we felt it was good for him to step out of our starting lineup and go get just more mat time. And he did a great job up at App State. You know, whether it was teammates or not, it was still back-to-back matches is what we were looking for and get that tournament feel in. And he did a good job going up there. And Trombley stepping in, and it's no surprise to us. We know how good he is and what he did for us last year, and I think he remains to be one of the better guys at 125 in the country. And I think we're in a good spot, regardless of who we run with this year at 125. We have, obviously, Camacho's been the guy for most of the season, but Trombley stepping in now and showing some really good things. We have to evaluate that and just see where we're at. I feel confident that both guys will be ready to go when the postseason hits, and we're going to have 2 valuable options there.
I don't know why, because I have no hair, but another hair comment. Jared Trombley has stepped up his hair game so much better than that haircut he had last year.
Yeah, he's doing good. You know, as he matures into getting his grad school, graduating.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this is a businessman Trombley. He knows he's got to get that job and get some schooling done here. So he finally got a haircut.
Find all these schools, so he's got to go on these interviews and look good.
Yep, absolutely. But the main event, this is my opinion, 141, number 4, Ryan Jack, number 5, Leighton McNeil. These guys have a long history. I think Jack is up 3-1 in the series. He beat him at Cliff Keen, but every time these guys have met, it's a 1-point or 2-point match. 141 at the ACC, I think, has snuck up on a little people. I think it's the deepest weight right now if you have 4 guys based on last weekend's results. But this is a big one because both Jack and McNeil lost last week. So they have that rivalry, both top wrestlers in both programs. This is probably going to be the match of the night.
Yeah, and they've both have gotten better through the years and always have good matches when they wrestle. And you look at the results, they've been very comparable throughout their careers. Even when they wrestle, outside our conference and see guys, they are both having success. So I thought Ryan Jack wrestled really good last Friday. That was our goal, was to go out there and score as many points as we could. And I just think some of the positions got away from us. But I'll take the way that he wrestled any day over even if we were in that match in the years past, losing a 1 takedown match, I'd rather be a shootout, because I think in the long run, when we get to postseason, that stuff's going to matter and catch up to him in a positive way, and he's going to get the results he wants. And that's the same thing he's got to do Friday night, regardless. These guys wrestled a bunch of times, and sometimes it gets tough on athletes. You see each other so much, you're very familiar with what guys do. But we just got to go out, attack, and let things fly, and put ourselves in the best position we can for Friday night. But that should be another great match for sure.
Up at 174, this is actually a rematch from last year's NCAAs. UNC, they got a transfer at the semester break. Tyler Eskins is now their starter at 174, but Alex Faison, very good ranked win up at Pitt. 174 is another weight. 1 through 5 here, all those guys are probably going to be ranked in the top 20 by the end of the year. Yep. But this is important. I mean, you hate to say it, but the second match of the year, it's important for ACC seeding already. But Faison Eskins, very good battle here.
Yeah, and they did. They wrestled at the NCAA tournament last year in a close match. So we got to do what we did last Friday, and I think that was the difference from the Faison that was wrestling first semester to what he was capable of doing. What we saw last year at the end of the year, opening up, being aggressive. We talked about it, and we felt like we've just been standing around, not attacking enough, and he really let things fly last Friday. And it's the same thing he's got to do this Friday or any match moving forward. Let's put ourselves in position, put the points on the board, and when we do that, usually things are going to fall in his favor, and that's what we like seeing, a more aggressive style of Faison, because he can wrestle hard. He's good on getting off bottom. He's got great conditioning. So we just got to keep doing that, and I think it'll be another good match that people want to see Friday night.
184, Fishback at it again, another ranked opponent, another All-American, Gavin Kane. You got your young Fishback, you have the older Kane. This is big for Fishback. He fell against Heller up at Pitt, where he just wasn't able quite to get that takedown. A couple times he got in really deep, but it's a good battle. I mean, Fishback's going through the ACC, and 184 in the ACC, I think it's a little surprising. Some of these guys are going to be very good this year.
Yeah, and has anyone had a tougher schedule in the country than Fishback? Because he's looked through it. I think he's wrestled all the top guys for the most part. His schedule has not been easy. And you go back and look at all those matches, they're like a 1 takedown or maybe a 2-point match. And most of those losses that he knows, if he's hitting from all cylinders, he can put himself in position to switch the outcome of those matches. And I think we knew that going into this year. He was going to have a really tough schedule. He was going to take some losses, but he learns from them. And great opportunity Friday night to wrestle a kid that's accomplished a lot thus far in his career, and should be a good match for him to go out and open up and do what he's best. And I think that's one thing he'll take away from last Friday. He didn't attack enough. He didn't try to put enough offense, 2 or 3 shots in a row. And that's when he's really good, is when he lets things fly. That's our team. When we're attacking, we're a dangerous team. And I think our guys know that. And that's what we have to do again at 84 against a really good kid. It's got pretty good defense across the board, and he's got some good experience.
Last one I want to touch on, 197, Trent Hidley, Max Shaw. Everybody was curious. Trent Hiley going against Stout last week, and Stout, probably one of the strongest freshmen that you'll see in the way he performed. Max Shaw, another guy, he's probably maybe 2 feet taller than Trent, but Trent's ready. Trent has been unbelievable this year, getting you bonus points, which have been huge. And he really likes going up against UNC, but Shaw's just a little bit different of an athlete, I think, than he's seen recently.
Yeah, he's got experience. He's obviously got some good wins through his career too. But I think when you look at Trent and the improvements he's made, and I think that jump going from 84 to 97, his output is even more. I know he wrestled really hard, crazy pace at 84, but it's even more effective at 97 because I know he's fresher going into the match days. I think conditioning, he was always in great shape, but now I think his legs are even more under him as he isn't sitting there running the day before, the morning of, and that night. And I think those are things that are going to really pay off for him these next 4 or 5 weeks as we get to the end of the year, is him having that extra gear and energy and excitement, which he's always had, and really just positive, good energy. And over the years, I think he's one of the higher competitors that we've had, and he loves to compete. And this is going to be one where he lives for these kind of moments where we have a pretty big duel that'll be right here in Reynolds with a good crowd. So I think you're going to see a lot of crazy good energy from Trent.
You didn't take me to Pitt, so I had to watch the broadcast. But Rock had a great line. He said Trent told him he wanted to become a better wrestler this year, not a better weight cutter. I just thought that was great.
And he has. And I think that's the difference this year is the time that he used to have to spend on a treadmill running. And, you've been around us enough to know that the guys have to do that to make sure that they can be at the right weight. He's put that into the technical side of things, or watching film or recovery. And last year he didn't have enough of that to recover after every week, or the way that he trains. He wasn't able to fully recover going into that next workout. And I think that's been a huge difference for him this year, is to be able to recover, get back to 100% going into every competition, and wrestling as hard as he possibly can, because it's the way Trent's wired, and he's going to leave it all on the mat. And I'm excited to see him as he keeps wrestling the best guys in the country.
Pat, it's a great episode. Can't wait for Friday night. Again,
two of us, Brian.
2 of us. Oh, you're excited for this one too. All right. That's great. When we text each other, I don't get the sense of your excitement sometimes.
Same. I don't know why. It's hard to read your text too. Pretty dry on the text.
You're texting me from 2 different phones today. I don't know what you're
when you write negative articles about outcomes, I got to keep on. I thought you were a stat guy.
I made one mistake on Pat's coaching record, and man, it had to be up there for 5 minutes, and I heard about it, so it was corrected. I'm just glad you read my stuff. That's very exciting.
I got to make sure your spelling is all right.
Yeah. NC State, UNC, Friday night, 8:30. Wolfpack fans, let's pack Reynolds Coliseum red. This is a great duel. Pat, thanks for joining us. Thanks for breaking it down. I know the guys are really excited for this one Friday night.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun one Friday night.
Wolfpack fans, thanks for listening to another episode of the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast, covering all things NC State wrestling. Until next time, go Pack.